A fishing trip turned tragedy at sea.
The boat is sinking and she disappears.
After an extensive search by the Coast Guard for New England mother Linda Carman,
the likelihood of her being alive is minimal.
Her son Nathan Carman says it was a horrible accident.
Just like to thank the public for their prayers and for their concern for both my mother and for myself. Emotionally, I've been through a huge amount, and my request is just to be allowed to mourn naturally.
He tampered with the boat, he cut holes in the boat, he did things that would make the boat essentially easier to sink.
Gather round, all you seekers of the night. Welcome to Patrick's Dark Corner.
Hey, what's up everyone? Today I will be telling you about the case of Nathan and Linda Carman. I originally covered this case 3 years ago. At that time it was a controversial case that seemed like a mystery to me. Now though, it seems like there has been closure in this case and the mysteries have been answered. Nathan Carman was born January 21st of 1994 to mother Linda and father Clark. He grew up in Middletown, Connecticut. His parents divorced when he was young, and he was mostly raised by his mother. When he was growing up, he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Today, that would just be called high-functioning autism. It's important that you understand this disorder so you can understand the story better.
Psychologist Dr. Rebecca Sachs says people with Asperger's often speak without emotion and order their thoughts in a way others might find unusual.
Picking out what is the most important piece of information is often really, really difficult. They'll sort of give information in a linear fashion.
So you're saying that it's not necessarily unusual that he didn't lead with, "My mother is missing."
Correct.
Sachs has never treated Nathan, but she says people with Asperger's have trouble interacting with others.
Nathan Carman grew up in Middletown, Connecticut. Nathan was described by classmates as a loner who always dressed like he was about to go hunting. Although highly intelligent, Nathan definitely had poor social skills due to his autism. He came across as a conceited know-it-all. He once held another kid hostage with a knife. So one person Nathan was close to was his grandpa, John. John Chakalos was the son of Greek immigrants. He was a World War II hero, and he was very successful, making millions in the real estate business. So Nathan really looked up to his grandfather, followed him to business meetings, and just looked up to him. When Nathan got to be a teenager, his relationship with his mother Linda became strained. They would argue all the time, and sometimes it got physical. "Soon enough, he's gonna slit your throat while you're sleeping," is what Linda's boyfriend told her. On Halloween in 2009, a parent of a trick-or-treater called the police because Nathan had been handing out tricks, Ziploc bags filled with fish guts. The following year, when he insisted on moving out of the house, Linda offered a compromise. She allowed him to live in an RV parked in the driveway, far enough to appease Nathan, but close enough for her to watch over him. When Nathan's beloved horse, Cruz, passed away in 2010, Nathan was devastated. After that, Nathan would only communicate with his mom through notes. Linda shared her concerns on a message boards, writing, Nathan had psychotic episodes at school. Nathan had called the vice principal Satan and his secretary an agent of the devil. The sort of behavior, she said, that was previously reserved for me. There was something more than autism at work, she feared. Nathan was suddenly having paranoid delusions and espousing religious idiocy. In 2011, Nathan ran away.
Have all been briefed to keep a lookout for Nathan Carman.
Running away from home was something that I felt that I had to do at the time.
He was actually found 600 miles away from his home in some random small town. He had been trying to make it to Florida. When he was brought back home, he had to undergo a psychological evaluation. When Nathan was in the psych ward, he refused to meet with Linda, but met with his grandfather often. This caused a rift between Linda and her father. Linda's relationship with her father was already strained as she was gambling away her inheritance, and even a $200,000 trust fund John had set up for Nathan. Anyway, after the running away episode, Linda and Nate's dad decided to have Nathan kidnapped and sent to a wilderness camp for troubled teens. Nathan undoubtedly suffered some psychological trauma from this experience. After he returned from the camp, Nathan seemed to be doing better. He moved in with his cousin and was planning to live in his grandfather's weekend mansion in New Hampshire. In December of 2013, Grandpa John was shot to death in his house.
Chakalos was murdered in his Connecticut home in 2013, 1 month after his wife died from cancer. His killer was never found.
He had been shot in the head 3 times. It was discovered that Nathan was the last person to see him before he died. They actually went out to dinner that night. The next day, Nathan destroyed his computer hard drive, as well as his car's GPS. John had been shot with the same type of gun Nathan purchased a month earlier. Nathan didn't mention his gun purchase to cops, and when confronted, he claimed he lost the gun. Nathan couldn't account for his whereabouts. He said he was supposed to go on a fishing trip with his mother, but never showed up. There just wasn't enough to charge Nathan, though. After all, Linda was feuding with her dad, giving her motive. John also had an accountant who had been stealing from him. Nevertheless, people in town nicknamed Nathan Murder Boy. John was worth about $23 million when he died. In 2015, Nathan bought a little fishing boat which he named the Chicken Pox. Nathan and his mom Linda frequently went fishing on the boat together as a way to bond. Interesting, because sources say Nathan sucked at fishing Linda. Well, she didn't even like to eat fish, let alone catch them. On September 16th of 2016, Nathan and Linda decided to go deep sea fishing for tuna. They went in the middle of the night because apparently that's the best time to catch fish.
Dave considers it highly unusual for a mother and son to fish alone for tuna. Those fish can weigh hundreds of pounds.
There's usually a crew of 4, and it's usually all experienced guys.
Usually a crew of 4 experienced fishermen.
Usually, to be smart about things.
On top of that, Captain Dave says a 31-foot boat like the Chicken Pox would be too small a vessel for even the most experienced fishermen. And remember, Nathan had never done this before.
First time you've taken your boat that far offshore.
That's correct.
Linda was afraid to go, but Nathan convinced her. Linda told some of her friends about the plan and said they'd be home the next day. They definitely didn't return the next day, so the friend alerted the Coast Guard. They discovered no distress call was made and the emergency beacon wasn't activated, even though both things had been found to be working before they set out. So what could have happened? Planes, helicopters, and boats all set out in search of Nathan and Linda. The search was expansive, but after 5 days the search was called off. A small boat in cold weather, it was unlikely they were still alive after all this time. 8 days later, a Chinese cargo ship found Nathan floating on a small life raft with a tent over it for protection, just like in the movie Cast Away. Nathan just had a few protein bars with him and some kind of water bottle that filtered the ocean water into water that he could drink and stay hydrated. So that's how he stayed alive.
Rested for a while, clinging onto the ladder. Our crew helped him to get on board the ship.
Now, Carman says he spent 8 days on a life raft after his boat sank. His mother, who was also on the boat, is still missing. Liam Martin joins us now with these new pictures. Liam?
Lisa, we obtained photos and video from the crew of the freighter, the Orient Lucky. You can see here that he jumped from the life raft to swim over to the freighter. That's him in the water. He says he had spent a week in that raft and that the freighter happened to spot him. Here we see the crew hoisting him up onto the ship, eventually wrapping him in a blanket and then getting him food before bringing him to shore to eventually be questioned by the Coast Guard. And now the question remains, what happened to Nathan Carman's mother?
Nathan would tell the Coast Guard that everything was fine with him and his mom until the middle of the day when he heard a strange noise coming from the engine.
It sounded different. I looked in the hatch where the engine was. I observed there was water, quite a bit of water. And the belt on the engine was picking up water and kind of spinning it.
What did you think?
I knew that there was a serious problem, but I didn't think we were sinking. I thought that I was going to diagnose the problem and that we were going to go back to shore.
He says he closed the hatch and shut off the engine. He says he told his mother to gather the fishing lines in the rear, while he says he brought the ditch bags full of safety gear up to the front. But he says to his shock, in no time, the boat was underwater.
I was walking on the deck, it was there, and then it wasn't.
Any sign of your mother at this point?
No, not at that point.
He claims he was totally disoriented, doesn't remember hearing his mother or seeing her. The life raft was designed to inflate automatically. Nathan says he swam to it.
I got on board the life raft and was looking around, and I was calling out to my mom. I did not see or hear my mom. And I was blowing the whistle with 3 loud, short bursts, which is a distress signal.
So if she had been on the surface of the water, you feel like you would have been able to see her?
I assumed that if she had been on the surface and conscious, that she would have been calling out to me and I would have been able to find her.
The public quickly turned from sympathetic to suspicious once they learned about his grandfather's murder. It was discovered Nathan received about $500,000 from his grandpa's death, but he had squandered it all by the time of the boating incident with his mom, Linda. With Linda gone, though, Nathan could now inherit $7 to $8 million. Nathan seemed unbothered, though. He held a vigil for his mom. Noticeably absent were Nathan's 2 aunts, Linda's sisters. Nathan had been relatively close to his aunts, but by this point, they wanted nothing to do with him.
Very grateful to the friends and family who attended in memory of my mom.
Nathan, you've been through so much. How have you been these last several weeks?
It's been very difficult.
How was the service? Can you tell us a little bit about it, Nathan?
The whole family was invited. I'm glad that many of my mom's friends chose to attend. And I think the service was a good time for us to come together and support one another.
How many would you say were there?
Several.
Are you sad your aunts didn't show up?
I wish very much that my whole family could have come together. I wish desperately that my mom was rescued. I hope that she will be found. And as difficult as this is, I'm glad that family and friends had a chance and that friends came together to remember my mom and to support each other in this very difficult time.
And now tell us about your relationship with her?
Now I'm going to drive off.
And what about your grandfather?
I need to close my door.
Okay.
In 2017, Nathan filed an insurance claim for the boat, but the insurance refused to pay, so Nathan took them to court. A judge decided that Nathan wasn't entitled to any of the insurance money.
The survey proved excellent. He used it for many months before he had this problem. He altered the boat. I mean, ultimately, he sank the boat.
A federal judge has determined Nathan Carman's boat sank either directly or indirectly because of his faulty repairs. The boat's insurance company refused to pay the $85,000 claim because their attorney said Nathan removed 2 bulkheads and trim tabs before the voyage, leaving holes in the boat above the waterline that were improperly repaired. The judge saying in his ruling, repairs and alterations Mr. Carman made to this boat were faulty, causing the boat to become unseaworthy and directly or indirectly causing the loss.
Also in 2017, Nathan's 3 aunts filed a lawsuit against him to block Nathan from inheriting any money.
Members of his family want him declared a killer. As Shantae Lands explains, they believe Nathan Carman did it all for the money.
Nathan Carman's aunts are taking him to court. They say he killed his mother and grandfather, looking to cash in on his grandfather's inheritance worth millions. In court paperwork, they asked this court to declare that the murderer was Nathan Carman and that Nathan committed this heinous act out of malice and greed. Their attorney released a statement saying the surviving sisters cannot stand idle while their father's killer and perhaps their sister's killer profits from his actions. Last September, Nathan went fishing with his mother, Linda Carman. A freighter found him floating in a life raft off Martha's Vineyard. His mother is presumed dead, her body never found.
Who is it?
Shantae Lands. I'm a news reporter with CBS Boston.
Nathan Carman wouldn't answer our questions at his home in Vermont tonight. He denied any involvement in either his mother's or grandfather John Chakalos' deaths. 4 years ago, police called him a suspect in his grandfather's murder, but he never was charged. At the time, his aunt said this.
This person killed at least once that we know of. This person's gotten away with murder, and chances are it will happen again.
A judge threw out this case, and it seemed like Nathan got away with 2 murders. Then, in May of 2022, after a 5-year investigation, Nathan Carman was arrested and charged with the murder of his mother, Linda, and numerous fraud charges related to her death. Nathan pled not guilty to everything.
Do you have anything to say? Any reaction to the charges?
I'm guilty.
But prosecutors also claimed Nathan killed his grandfather in the indictment for the murder of his mom. They said he did it all for the money. Grandpa John was worth millions of dollars when he died, but only a small amount went to Nathan. The rest went to his daughters, including Linda. With Linda gone, Nathan would finally be set to receive the inheritance, prosecutors said. It seemed like prosecutors were preparing to charge Nathan with his grandfather's death as well, and put him on trial for that after his mom's murder trial. There would be no trial. In the early morning hours of June 15, 2023, 29-year-old Nathan Carman was found hanging in his jail cell. He had left a note behind. Oh well. His lawyers expressed shock about his passing.
My reaction is, it's just, I'm numb.
Nathan Carman's lawyers were blindsided by their client's death. The 29-year-old found dead alone in his cell overnight.
I spoke with him last night for an hour. He was in fine spirits. We were very encouraged. We had action items that we were going to address today.
This is an individual that I've been dealing with on a daily basis for the last year. We prepared a vigorous defense, and it's just a tragic situation.
So there you have it, really a classic tale of greed and impatience, and a man who tried to use his disability to get away with murder. Nathan was smart and planned the murders well. However, because of his autism, Nathan didn't have the social awareness to see that killing his grandfather and mother only a few years apart would seem suspicious. Netflix is releasing a documentary on this case with interviews of those involved in the investigation. So, yeah, that is the story of Nathan Carman. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you very soon. Bye.
In the darkness, where secrets hide, there's a corner where the truth resides. Gather round, all you seekers of the night. Welcome to Patrick's Dark Corner, where things come to light. Patrick's Dark Corner, uncovering the mysteries, diving deep into the dark with you.